The verification of property condition form, otherwise known as the VP form, is used for the buyer's final walkthrough. Are you using this form for the right purpose? Just recently, we had a couple of transactions where it was agreed for sellers to stay after the close of escrow. However, once escrow closed, we had no VP form in order to complete the broker files because the seller was still occupying the property as previously agreed, which puts us transaction coordinators in a very awkward position since some of your brokers won't pay commissions until your file is complete. So, when is the VP form due? Is it due at the time of possession or is it due before the close of escrow? Well, let's take a look at what the RPA says. On page 2 of the RPA, where it lists most of the time periods, it tells us by default that the final verification of condition is to be done 5 days prior to close of escrow. Even if you want to change the number of days from 5 days, it doesn't seem to allow you to change the fact that it's to be done before the close of escrow. So then, what if the seller will still be occupying the property a few days after close? Well, let's see if the BP form addresses that issue. According to the second paragraph, it states that by buyers signing the VP form, they are acknowledging two things. One, that the property is in substantially the same condition as on the date of acceptance of the offer. And number two, that the seller has completed any repairs agreed. Now, this doesn't really address whether the seller is still occupying the property or not. If you think about it, if buyer is trying to acknowledge that the property is substantially in the same condition as of the date of acceptance while the seller is still in the property, it's most likely the seller was occupying the property and their belongings were there when the buyer seen the property in the first place. However, one thing I do want to point out in the first paragraph is that the VP form, and I quote, is not intended in any way to alter the contractual obligations of seller regarding the condition of property to be delivered to buyer at possession date. So, in other words, by buyers signing off on the VP form before the close of escrow, after they have confirmed the property is in the same condition and the repairs have been made, it does not change the seller's obligation to deliver the property as agreed, whether that be before or after close of escrow. So, the VP form by itself, holding it hostage after the close of escrow, is not really going to help the buyer, even if the seller damages the property or leaves debris behind. So, then how can the buyer protect themselves if the seller damages the property or leaves debris behind after they move out? Well, stay tuned for my next video next week as I discuss what form can address that issue. If you don't want to miss it, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or Facebook page.